Democrats lose their cool. That's the focus of tonight's angle. So what does it mean today to be cool? Well, in 2012, Democrats thought they had the market cornered on cool.
Come on, baby, don't you want to go? Same old place, sweet home Chicago.
Oh, they strutted their stuff, and after he left office, the Democrats kept returning to their Obama nostalgia to hit Trump.
What does it mean to be cool? Answer, adjective meaning composed.
You ready? We getting the cue?
Under control, relaxed, never going out of style. The Obamas have been the first family of cool since 2009. The first father of cool was just 47 years old when he took office. And he showed off how chill a man from Chicago, by way of Hawaii, could be.
And now, with the decrepit Biden in the White House, the sell gets harder and harder.
Democrats are the party of the rising American majority, people of color, younger people, single women.
Democrats are the party of getting things done.
Could you point to one thing the Biden administration or you, Democrats in control, have done to deal with inflation?
Well, I can talk about what I've done and what I'm willing to do.
Oh, can you? But the polls show none of this is working. Biden is taking a wrecking ball to the economy, to our military, and to our border. His team of radicals is doing everything possible to keep energy prices high and to strengthen China's hand. And a man who needs a blue dot and the Easter Bunny telling him where to go doesn't exactly scream cool and the future. The future now includes Elon Musk running Twitter. And it's where Ron DeSantis stands with parents and puts Disney back on its heels. It's where Fox dominates the competition and CNN Plus closes a month after its launch party. But the regime media, if honest, they're embarrassed by their puppet president. They're even worried that conservatives are becoming cool. New York Times columnist Michelle Goldberg, she's conceding that the left exudes an irritating progressive sanctimony, is grimly censorious, and that the cultural energy is on the side of opposing wokeness. She goes on to quote author James Pogue, who in Vanity Fair noted, "This new conservative movement has been quietly edgy and cool in new tech outposts like Miami and Austin, and in downtown Manhattan, where new rightish politics are in. And signifiers like a demure cross necklace have become markers of a transgressive chic." Now, where's my cross necklace? There it is. Demure. Leave it to liberals to misconstrue a crucifix. The fact is, without the veneer of coolness that the Obamas provided, we all see what has always been true. In the modern era, conservatives have always been the real rebels, refusing to accept a cram down of policies and trends that don't work now and never worked before. After all, who are the ones rubber stamping everything the teachers' unions want? Who are the ones giving big business everything they ask for? Who are the ones still wearing masks outside because Dr. Fauci endorsed them? And who goes along with whatever the gender identity crowd demands? Who reflexively jumps to defend people like Jussie Smollett? The supposedly cool left, that's who. They're the ones bragging about muzzling Mickey.
Last summer, we removed all of the gendered greetings in relationship to our life skills. So we no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've provided training for all of our cast members in relationship to that. So now they know it's hello everyone or hello friends.
Hello, friend. We're the ones, though, who knock billions off Disney's stock price. They're the ones who won't do anything to fight for human rights except talk about it. But we're the ones who hit China with tariffs. It's very uncool to punch down, and that's all they do. They wage war against small businesses like cake shop owners with religious views, or health club owners who tried to survive the shutdowns. They target selfless nuns like the Little Sisters of the Poor, and they fire beloved high school football coaches who pray after games. What do? We go after the multinational corporations and celebrity athletes who bully Americans on social issues while they make billions by sucking up to China. We fight the censors at big tech and the open borders anti-tariff cabal at the Chamber of Commerce. Some of the worst people on earth are the Westerners helping the CCP, including many in the old Republican Guard. But the new, more populist conservatives like Tom Cotton, Bill Hagerty, and Josh Hawley, they're not afraid to challenge our own leadership on these issues. Who out there is actually standing up to Goldman Sachs and BlackRock as they build their portfolios in Shanghai and Beijing? It's not the woke left, I can tell you that. The big banks selling out their country and selling out freedom, they're the opposite of cool. And it's where the modern left is. Celebs pretend to fight for the powerless, but the truth is they're owned by the powerful. LeBron James in China, Leo DiCaprio and his private jets, Prince Harry and Meghan, opining about how grim the future looks from their Montecito mansion. It's not cool to give people awards either for stuff they don't deserve, but that's what liberals do all the time. Jon Stewart received the Mark Twain Award for American humor over the weekend after recent performances like this.
The problem with white people. America has always prioritized white comfort over black survival. And any real attempt to repair a ton of that damage, reparation, sets off white people's "they're coming for our" alarm.
Oh my God, that was hilarious. Today's rebels are the high school and college students questioning the anti-American tripe that they're being fed by radicals in the classroom and on campus.
Do you think the media acted inappropriately when they instantly dismissed Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation?
All the mistakes of the mainstream media, and CNN in particular, seem to magically all go in one direction. Are we expected to believe that this is all just some sort of random coincidence?
Now, those young people, they're risking their futures by just speaking out. That means they have courage. Very cool. But the left has such an inspiring young stable of their own future leaders, we have to admit, like at Yale Law School, where they disrupt a bipartisan free speech event.
Can I ask you all, as you know, Yale has a policy of freedom of speech, and that
Dumb is never cool. But at least they have the millennials and Mayor Pete.
And we're about to take a test ride on one of Washington, D.C.'s electric buses. We're going to have a lot more where these came from, so I'm excited to see it for myself. All right, morning, here we go. It's a really important part of how people get through their daily commutes, but it's also a really important part of the climate solution.
That oozes charisma. But our future stars really are cool. They don't get standing ovations at the Oscars, but they stand for basic decency, for mothers and for fathers.
We believe parents not only have a role, they have a fundamental role to be involved in the education of their kids. And that's how it's going to be in the state of Florida.
Of course, it was cool when Trump had the guts to take on the powerful globalist interests in his own party. And Trump showed us that putting America first, it actually works. And despite the relentless attacks, the fraudulent investigations, he expanded the party with women and minorities. Very cool. Now, with all the Democrat failures mounting, with all the tedious lectures by equally tedious personalities, no wonder young people are fleeing the Democrat Party. This is what we did in the 1980s. Carter had wrecked America, and young people just said, no way, to continuing this life of decline. So we voted for Reagan. I even ended up working for him. And even with shoulder pads and bad perms, we were the rebels back then. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.